Am I the asshole for forcing my husband to pay for my daughter's piano after he damaged it? My husband and I have been together for 2.5 years. I have a daughter, Callie. She's 13. She loves instrumental music and piano has been her #1 interest. I'm not saying this because she's my daughter, but really, I see her talent as special, and more importantly, she uses it to express her feelings, especially for her deceased father who passed away when she was 7. She always says that she, in a way, connects to him through playing piano. So I encouraged her to do more, and her grandparents bought her a 6,000 piano that she was so thrilled with. The whole family encourages her, but my husband thinks she's being distracted from school, real future, etc. He doesn't attend her plays, doesn't help with the academy, doesn't even take the time to listen to her playing, and every time he comes home and hears her playing upstairs, he'd lecture us about how this activity is just a waste of time. I sat him down and told him about Callie picking up on that bad vibe. He got mad and said that he was doing my job for me and ensuring she doesn't get distracted from school although her grades are good. We went back and forth on this and I made it clear that this should stop. He said okay, and that was the end of it. On Sunday a huge argument ensued in the house because my husband claimed Callie woke him up on his day off with her loud playing. He issued an ultimatum: either the piano goes or he gets rid of it himself. I asked where should I take it. He said Callie's grandparents' house, but Callie didn't want to. After we left I found out that my husband took it to the junk yard his dad works at and cut it into pieces. A big argument ensued and we literally had a screaming match in front of his family over this. I gave him 2 days to pay for a new one despite him apologizing and saying he acted in a moment of desperation and frustration. He said the only way he could pay for it is using his savings that was supposed to go towards his new garage as a side business. He complained about me forcing him to pay and ruining his business before it even starts. He kept sending his family as middlemen to get me to give him at least 4 months, but I refused and stood my ground despite being called unreasonable since it's a piano versus new business. Am I the asshole for forcing him to pay and not giving him time? No. He didn't have an issue with whatever Callie was doing at first till we started living together. At first I thought that as a family we tend to get annoyed by stuff other family members do, but apparently, this is not the case. By the way, tonight or tomorrow morning is the timeline I've given him, and so far I haven't heard from him or his dad. You need to leave this relationship. Sue his ass for the cost of the piano and divorce him for being a complete arsehole. Not the asshole for the question about demanding he pay for what he damaged. But YTA for staying with a man who would act this way to your child. If someone, let alone my partner, treated my children like this, or their beloved possessions, I'm not sure I could keep it from getting physical, and a $6,000 bill would be the least of their concerns. Not the asshole. The cost of the piano should be the least of his worries. Get him to pay for a new one, but then kick his ass to the curb and start divorce proceedings. He's obviously way too toxic to be allowed around your daughter. You are the asshole for not protecting your child from what is clearly an abusive adult in her home. Not the asshole. Give him a simple choice. His business is delayed while he takes accountability for his actions, or his business is ruined by having theft charges brought against him. And YTA for allowing your husband to treat your daughter so poorly for so long. 2. The reason the family is yelling at you is because in most jurisdictions the father could also be charged for receiving stolen property. Am I the asshole for telling my sister I am never babysitting for her again? I, 37 am single, child-free and have 2 dogs, German Shepherd mixes. They are very well behaved and super nice. My nibblings, aged 2-13, love them. I have 4 sisters and they have 10 kids total, so I babysit a lot. I work from home and am pretty much always available to watch the older ones, since I can easily work while they are in my apartment, and when they need care for the little ones, I just move my schedule around a bit. Yesterday 4 of my nibblings were at my place, ages 3, 5, 7 and 8. 7 and 8 are siblings. I have just one super strict rule at my house: no chocolate. It's deadly for dogs. I don't like it anyway, and kids can easily go an afternoon without it. The 7 and 8 YRO obviously brought chocolate with them and shared with 3 and 5 YRO. I was in the kitchen making them drinks, they were in the living room. My dogs were sleeping on the balcony. I came into the living room and there were obviously chocolate crumbs everywhere. I asked who had the chocolate and 7 and 8 YRO admitted that mom gave it to them and they always have some with them, but usually eat it in secret. When my sister came to pick them up a few hours later, I told her what happened and she said that her kids are big enough not to make a chocolate mess. I told her I'm never babysitting NV for her again. She is furious and says I overreacted. Another sister of mine agrees with her. My mother thinks I am wrong for putting my dogs before the children. AITA? Not the asshole. Additionally, I would not babysit children that are taught to lie to me. Not the asshole, and what a nice life lesson she teaches her kids. If you don't like the rules, just lie. Woman facepalming medium light skin tone. Not the asshole, and it looks like your mom has volunteered to babysit for free. Thanks mom. Not the asshole. You have one simple rule and she broke it and made her kids hide it. They also clearly aren't big enough to not make a chocolate mess since there were crumbs on your floor. Not the asshole. Free babysitting is always a privilege that can be taken away. Not the asshole. Obviously they are not old enough to not make a mess. Your dogs could easily have eaten those crumbs. It is fine for you to have rules. Am I the asshole for making my son eat off dirty dishes? This happened 2 months ago, but he's still furious over it. I'm 45 female. I love my oldest son, but he's 17 and acts like it. Our family rotates chores. Cooking, dishes, cleaning common areas are all done by each family member on different days. My son hates chores and always tries to half-ass it to get out of doing it. It's been a constant battle. Dishes are the worst. He overpacks the dishwasher so the dish detergent can't even get on the dishes. It just catches on whatever pan he shoved in front. He also doesn't rinse the dishes at all, so they come out dirty and caked in food. If we want to eat the day after he does dishes, we end up having to hand wash them. He doesn't care. Any attempt to talk to him is met with a little smirk and he would say, "But the dishwasher sanitized it." He knows exactly what he's doing. The day after his night to do dishes, I went to cook dinner. All the dishes were in the washer still, filthy. I had worked all day. I was exhausted. I honestly teared up seeing this bullshit. I didn't have the energy to make dinner, let alone do an entire load of dishes first. I quietly called hubby in and he offered to hand wash the dishes I needed. Light bulb moment. I told him, yes please, but only enough dishes for preparing the food and serving everyone but 17Y0. I made dinner and called kiddos to eat. 17Y0 sat down and saw his setting was empty. He asked where his plate, AMD silverware and water cup was. I pointed to the dishwasher and said, "Tonight you'll be eating off of the dishes you did. Go pick them out." He went pale and started protesting that it was gross. I quickly cut him off and reminded him that the dishwasher sanitized them. Hubby backed me up. If he wants to eat tonight, he will eat off his dishes. He huffed and said he'd wash some, and I said nope, you had your chance to get them clean last night. Eat off them as they are or don't eat tonight. He yelled and said that he'd make his own food, which I said no. Eventually, he relented and found the least disgusting dishes and ate his dinner quietly. I felt bad, he looked so sick and grossed out. But I was sick of him wasting time and water and detergent. And it worked. His dishes came out spotless after. Not a speck. But like I said, he's still furious and I do feel bad now that it's over and done with. I'm just sick of the weaponized incompetence. He doesn't realize that his laziness fucks over everyone else in the house. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You probably should have done this long ago. If he doesn't experience consequences, he's not going to grow up and be less selfish, and he is at an age where this is not going to be typical or understandable behavior very, very soon. Not the asshole, and I think you handled this beautifully. However, I have to disagree with you on the following. He doesn't realize that his laziness fucks over everyone else in the house. He knows. He doesn't care. Not the asshole, but as one mom to another, quit enabling him. If he doesn't do it right, you make his ass come back to do it again. It gets done right or he's got to do it over. And over. And over. My kids learned real quick to just do it right the first time. And I'm not super strict about it, but I will call them out if I start to see laziness. Not the asshole. Actions have consequences, and your son learned he can't half-ass his responsibilities and get no consequence for it. He smirks. He knows what he's doing. And he clearly learned his lesson, since his dishes have been spotless since. He needed that kick in the ass, because otherwise, he'd grow into an adult who weaponizes his incompetence against a partner and then be less than shocked Pikachu face when said partner calls him on the bullshit. Not the asshole. He's almost old enough to vote and still acts like a toddler. He can't get away with being a disgusting, lazy slob and expect to be treated with respect when he disregards the shared tasks and responsibilities in the same household. He's not paying bills, so the least he can do is help around keeping the house up to appropriate standards. He's way old enough to know his actions have consequences. Not the asshole. Well played. Am I the asshole for making my son eat vegan for a month as punishment? My family and friends are all calling me abusive, but I cannot see how any of this is abusive or assholish in any way. So, I have 2 kids, 16M and 14F. Last year, my daughter decided to go vegan. I didn't have any problem with this one bit. I give her the money that I would spend on food for her anyway. She buys her own food and cooks it herself if what her mom is making isn't vegan. It has been the tiniest change we have ever had to go through. For some reason though, my son has taken this change as an opportunity to bully his sister. I've made it clear to him that this is not okay at all, and have punished him several times for his bullying, but it has never gotten through to him. Last week, this all came to a head when my son took all of the food my daughter had bought for the week and hid it pretending he threw it away on garbage day. I got a call in the middle of the day at work from my daughter crying saying that he had thrown all her food away. I had to rush home only to discover it was just a prank. I was livid. I was ready to make him eat nothing but rice for the rest of his time under my roof, but my wife calmed me down and came up with a better plan. For the next 30 days, we are going to eat nothing but vegan food. We will make nothing but vegan food and buy nothing but vegan products. I told my son this, and that if he wants anything else he will be paying for it. He lost his mind, but for the past 5 days, we have been a vegan family. Well, my son called my parents and they rang me up furious, telling me that I was abusing him. I ended up hanging up on them. The rest of my family followed suit, and some friends have now joined in saying that this is assholish of me. My son is miserable, but I really don't care. He brought this upon himself. He still has food to eat, and can spend what little pocket money he has to buy meat for the next 25 days if he wants. So, am I the asshole? I was ready to tell you YTA because using food to punish kids is generally a bad idea. But not the asshole for deciding the entire family could be vegan for a month. I shouldn't be laughing, but I am. I sincerely hope your parents or some school employee doesn't call Child Protective Services. Not the asshole. This is honestly more of a learning opportunity than a punishment. And it's definitely not abusive. He's only being limited to vegan-only foods that you buy for home. He can cook his own food for home and eat what he wants anywhere else. Maybe now he'll learn stop being a shit to his sister. Not the asshole. My parents made us eat a vegetarian diet for much of my childhood. Stuff like tofu broccoli pie. My significant other and I joke that it was borderline child abuse, but the truth is, I was getting well-balanced nutritional meals 3x a day, plus healthy snacks between meals. Yeah, some of the food was gross in my opinion. Back then vegetarian options weren't great or as common as now, but it still had the nutrients I needed. So yeah, it's perfectly fine to feed him a vegan diet for a month, you're not starving him. And good for you sticking up for your daughter and supporting her decision to be vegan. And good for your daughter for planning, buying and cooking her own meals. Good life skills. Not the asshole. You might even want to hammer the point home by having a couple of vegan meals a week even after the 30 days if you go back to eating meat. He's 16, so that means you've potentially only got 2 years to hammer some tolerance into his skull. I'm sure this is also having some positive consequences for your daughter since she's now eating the same thing as the rest of the family, and continuing to have some meals like that would probably help her feel included. Not the asshole. If your son thinks this is abuse, he must have a great life. Oh no. My parents are making me eat healthy food, enough to sustain me. I must call my grandparents and tell them about this abuse. You sound like amazing parents. Not the asshole. Also maybe try having vegan days during the week normally, so your daughter doesn't feel like an outsider too much. There are plenty of normal foods that are vegetarian or vegan.